Thank you for taking time out of your busy days to join us at Cranfield University to talk about the Senior Leader Apprenticeship Program. My name is Toby Thompson. I'm here at the glorious Granville Turner Studios at Cranfield University. Thank you again for taking time out of your busy days. We're going to be together on this recording for around about 40 or so minutes, so I hope you can stick to the very end. Yes, we're talking about the Senior Leader Apprenticeship Program, and joining me in the studio to talk about that is Professor Vasilis Theoharakis. Vasilis, thank you very much indeed, and you're a key element to this whole thing, so stick around. We're also joined online by James Sutton, who's the Commercial Director at the Chartered Institute of Marketing. James, thank you very much indeed for joining us. Good wave there. We're also joined by Lauren Mason, who's the Senior Apprenticeship Administrator here at Cranfield University, who can answer some of the nitty-gritty programs questions that we have around that. Vasilis, I'm going to come back to you first of all to set the scene. Before we go into the detail of the program, I'm sure you can tell us a lot more about it. Tell us more about yourself. How did you end up at Cranfield?
Great. Thank you, Toby. It's great to be here and to be sharing more information about our program with everyone. Well, I started my career in industry. So I was not originally an academic or a professor of strategic marketing as I'm right now. But I think it's similar to other journeys that other colleagues at Cranfield have. So started in industry and moved into Silicon Valley, where I was responsible in marketing roles. And actually even now, I do hold some roles as a partner in a VC firm. So always involved in industry, but at the same time, really enjoying sharing and spending time with learners in marketing.
That's great to hear, the trademark Cranfield pragmatic background. Tell us more, Vasilis, about the program.
Well, we can look at the program, and first of all, we are very, very happy that the program is in partnership with the CIM. So, and I'll be asking James to tell us a few things about the CIM and the partnership also itself, because I think it's really key, for the program and for what learners get out of this. So if we're to look at the Marketing and Leadership MSc that we're here to discuss today, is to really look at that first question: who is it for? So it's really for experienced professionals, marketing professionals, that either are already in a leadership role or they would like to move into a leadership role. So the program is equally suited for early career professionals that want to make that leap, either in marketing or marketing and leadership. So even people that are considering making marketing a second career choice. So what we're looking for, from the very beginning, because many of the frequent questions come from that, we're looking for people that do have experience, because that's what makes the discussion, on the MSc so much richer and so much more relevant, if you want, to industry and what everybody's doing within work. Typically, we expect them to have a degree in first or second class degree, UK honors, but we certainly do appreciate people that have professional qualifications or have significant professional post-qualification experience. So why another important question about the program and how the program is relevant here. It's actually a very exciting time to be in marketing, because we looked at the world around us. COVID accelerated some things, but the business world has been changing, and marketing is really at the heart of this change. So if we look at digital transformation, businesses have been transforming. As we said, COVID accelerated this transformation. We're dealing with big data, so the way we make decisions and how we get informed of what the customer wants has been changing, has been evolving. So a marketing person needs to be aware of these new business models, be able to deal with it and be able to implement it within their own business. We're dealing with an omni-channel reality. What does this mean? This means that we may be looking, in a shop. We may be buying online. We may get interface and touch the customer in many different ways. So it's not a unique channel that we have to deal with. So businesses need to be able to join, if they have not joined already, this omni-channel reality. And if they're already in it, to manage it in a better way, in a more effective way. Certainly, one needs to be aware of the traditional things that always apply about developing marketing capabilities, developing your brands, developing innovation, and being able to communicate a value proposition. Why should a customer buy your services, buy your products? The very, very basics and key elements that drive decisions, purchasing decisions. But most importantly, because we're talking about leadership elements in leadership, the marketing person that we're looking for, that this program is appropriate for, is one that is really wants to contribute towards the growth strategy and the corporate objectives of the company. So, and in order to do that, they really need to acquire a strategic mindset. And if you look at marketing and some of the challenges of executives in marketing, they often suffer from what I call the CMO challenge, where you see CMOs lasting on the job, the chief marketing officer lasting on the job on some of the top companies for only about 2.5 years, while CEOs last more than 4.5 years. And what is really happening there? Frequently, what is happening is that the marketing person may get blamed a couple of times for things not going well, on the job, for the company, and this is a challenge that companies need to deal with, marketing professionals need to deal with, and to be able to deal with it, it's what one really has to do to be able to do is to have a broader comprehension about other business functions, and to really not just be only about marketing, but also to be able to lead teams, to get some of the basics, for example, of accounting, finance, to really be able to appreciate of what creates a return on investment, for the company itself as a whole. So we have a particular view of marketing at Cranfield, or we set really before developing the program to think of what is it that participants, our MSc participants, need to be able to get out of any marketing program at Cranfield. And although this is a very busy slide, and I'm not going to go into great detail here, it has to do with the area of market sensing. First of all, understanding and reading the customer, understanding competition, and be able to really receive all that input to make decisions. And in order to make those decisions, that's the phase that we call the market design, where you're going to design that growth strategy, you're going to innovate with your products and services, and at the same time develop that value proposition. That certainly includes your brand, developing your brand and developing that attachment with the customer. Then certainly aligning with customers, being able to understand and developing capabilities, understand of how to really develop in all the issues about CRM systems, for example, the customer relationship management systems, and not only, and last but not least, engaging with customers, which has to be understanding elements that relate to sales, but also being able to put a complete and comprehensive marketing plan. At the heart of all this, and this is really core for us and for being able to deal with business, is designing, doing all these elements are there to serve the adaptive organization. So an organization that is willing to change, is able to change, and to be able to deal with not only the competitive pressures, but lead ahead of the market. So why Cranfield? Cranfield is known as a very unique postgraduate institution, and educating executives is really in our DNA. We always, although being research driven and research active as faculty members, we certainly remain relevant with industry. So we're very close and working with companies all the time. So we focus on postgraduate education. This is really what we do. Now, if one were to look at marketing at Cranfield, why marketing at Cranfield? First of all, our faculty, our marketing faculty, and not only, are very passionate and very committed in terms of improving the practice of marketing and leadership. But this is a program that draws from our MSc in marketing, which is ranked 5th in the UK, 15th in the world, and when it comes to employability, something that is very relevant and very important to all, 3rd in the UK and 7th in the world, which demonstrates the relevance of our programs in general and marketing specifically. So our modules are really designed to address the marketing wheel that I presented earlier, from understanding markets and competitors, understanding customers, growth and innovation, value propositions, and so on, and leading to also the modules that relate to leadership. For example, organizational behavior for leaders, or people management and leadership itself, or leading change. But again, even leading change considers a lot of how one would lead change from the marketing function itself. And accounting and finance. So these would be the first 15 months, part one of what we call part one of our program, before people that have chosen to go the apprenticeship route will then take another 5 months to go through the gateway and go through the EPA that we're going to hear Lauren discuss about. Once the apprenticeship element of the EPA, the endpoint assessment, is completed, then participants who would like to complete their MSc would also have to put a consultancy proposal. We will support them in doing that, of course, and develop an actionable project. So that will be part of their MSc thesis. So in total, in 26 months, one will get to complete their apprenticeship, and at the end of those 26 months, if they chose to do so after completing the apprenticeship, to also complete their MSc. Now, if you don't mind, Toby, I would like to ask James to tell us a few things about CIM, because this is an important part of the program itself.
Please, James, tell us more about this.
Thank you.
And about yourself, if you don't
mind.
mind.
Me here. So I'm the commercial director of CIM, been working on and off for the Institute for about 20 years. So it's kind of in my blood. But just to give you a very quick snapshot, we've been kind of representing and developing the marketing profession for over 100 years now. We're a chartered institute, which basically means that we were awarded our charter status by the Queen through her Privy Council. And that allows us to award chartered marketer status. And we're the only professional body that's capable of doing that. And that's to recognise experience, qualifications, and individuals continuing to develop themselves on an ongoing basis. We focus really on three main areas in the day-to-day, and that's training. So we've got over 100 training courses that covers the full spectrum of marketing disciplines. We also have our own qualifications delivered around the world, from level 3 all the way up to level 7. And over the years, tens of thousands of people have been qualified by CIM through those routes. And we also have a global community of members. So we are able to recognize experience and qualifications through professional marketers, and then award those individuals designatory letters that they can have after their name, from an associate through to membership, all the way up to being a fellow. And by being a member of the Institute, that unlocks a whole host of benefits, which basically supports them in their career and the organizations they work for. So actually at the heart of what we do is around developing talent and supporting the businesses they work for to help them prosper. So aligning with Cranfield and partnering with them, we're absolutely delighted, and really looking forward to explaining a bit more.
James, thank you very much indeed for spending some time with us today. It's great to see you. We're going to come back to you. I've got a bunch more questions for you. Before we do that, I'm going to pass over to Lauren Mason, who can tell us a little bit more, as Vasilis just said there, about the endpoint assessment and generally the apprenticeship generally. Lauren, tell us some more about the details.
Yes, so Vasilis has gone through kind of the course content and what the Marketing and Leadership Apprenticeship is about with the senior leader, and I'm just going to go through more what the apprenticeship progress is and the process to apply and things like that for you. So if we bring up some slides. So I said at Cranfield, we've got over 1,200 apprentices on various level 7 postgraduate apprenticeship programmes on a variety of different subjects. And we're very proud that we've had over 400, nearly 500 now, that have progressed through their endpoint assessments. And we've had a 100% success rate with that. And 99% of those have been passed at the first attempt. And that's down to the support given by the apprenticeship and the course teams and the apprenticeship tutors themselves. So the support you have at Cranfield is reflected in our pass rates. And in regards to apprenticeships, obviously it's eligible organisations in England are able to use their apprenticeship levy to fund the senior leader apprenticeship, and it'll progress from there. So in regards to apprenticeships, it is a eligibility criteria set by the Education and Skills Funding Agency. And one of those is that you must have an identified training need with regards to your current or future role. So with that, it's whether you have the knowledge, skills and behaviours, and if we're looking to progress those to improve yourself and into your current role or future role against the senior leader standard. Another eligibility criteria is that you need to be a UK resident or meet the visa conditions, so whether you've lived in the UK for 3 years or more, and you must have a working visa. It can't be a student visa, it must be a working visa, and we do advise that we would prefer it to have an expiry of at least 6 months prior to the end of the programme to make sure that if for any reason you need to reset a module, that we have that time and flexibility. Another criteria is that you need to spend at least 50% of your working time in England. So whether you're living on the borders at all, we need to make sure at least 50% of your working time is spent in England. And the other eligibility is that you're able to commit for the whole duration of the apprenticeship, including the endpoint assessments. As Vasilis said, that's 15 months of on-programme learning, and then the 5-month gap where you would do the enter the endpoint assessment gateway and then take your endpoint assessment at the end. And then an apprenticeship is very important that you have the full support of your employer and you commit to engage in all the apprenticeship requirements. So that's the attending Cranfield, it will be taking part in all of your assignments, group study, group projects, and also making sure you take your 20% off the job time. So with the senior lead apprenticeship, as I said, employer support is crucial to apprenticeship success. So we request that, and part of the apprenticeship is that you have a mentor that will help guide you through the apprenticeship within your employment. They'll help you gain knowledge, skills and behaviours against the senior leader standard, and they'll also help make sure you have your 20% off the job time and that your work is based and applied to the senior leader apprenticeship knowledge, skills and behaviours. So to the next steps, kind of go through the application process. So as part of the senior leader apprenticeship and the application process, we'll ask that you go through an initial assessment, and that initial assessment defines your eligibility and also goes through the knowledge, skills and behaviours against the standard and asks you to kind of see where you're at now. So we don't expect you to be high up because that's the point of the apprenticeship. If you are scoring high with your knowledge, skills and behaviours at this point, the senior leader apprenticeship might not be for yourself. The point is that we want you to be low scoring at this point in time, and you're going to progress through your reviews and through the programme to learn those knowledge, skills and behaviours and apply them in your workplace and develop. And by the end of the apprenticeship, that's when you'd be scoring your 6s and 7s and scoring high within those knowledge, skills and behaviours once you've learned and once you've studied this course. And as I said, part of the apprenticeship criteria is that you have 20% off the job time. So that 20% is 20% of your working week will be spent studying the apprenticeship. So that would either be attending Cranfield, it would be taking on new projects that you can apply your apprenticeship learning to, it would be doing any assignments and things like that. As long as you can apply that to the knowledge, skills and behaviours, then it can be counted as the off-the-job time. And so with the senior leader, you do have part of the MSc at the end of that. So you have after your 20 months of the apprenticeship, you can then continue on for the 6 months to do your MSc. So the next step is how to apply. So for an apprenticeship, the first step comes from your employer. Because an apprenticeship is supported by your employer and it's done either through their levy funds, or if they don't pay into a levy, it'd be done through the co-investment. The first step comes from your employer. So as you can see, there's a screenshot from our website, and the employer would need to complete what we call an expression of interest. So that's just the employer letting us know that they're interested in this course and that they want to put applicants through. And we can then just see if it's something that's suitable for them, that they're eligible, that they either have have a levy fund or whether they're suitable for co-investment, and whether they are in England and do start to meet the eligibility criteria. And as I said there, also on the right, you've got the non-apprenticeship course, and you can see there where you can access and apply there directly. As I said, at Cranfield University, we're very supportive with the course tutors, with the apprenticeship tutors and the course team. And so if you have any questions or any part of the process for apprenticeships, you can contact us on the details below, and we can go through those with you. So we're here to support employers. We can answer any questions in regards to applicants as well, in regards to the application process, or any questions you have.
Lauren, thank you very much indeed. That's the detail that you needed. Thank you again for sticking out and watching. We also have running across the screen at some point coming up some details, contact details, like Lauren just mentioned, to get in touch. Obviously, we want to see you here at Cranfield University. We want you to continue that conversation with us. So please follow through on any of the information that you see rolling across the screens to carry on that conversation. Vasilis, if I can come back to you for a question first of all, and I think people watching will maybe have this in terms of funding routes. Can you tell us more about what clarity can you give on funding routes, part-funded, self-funded?
Absolutely. Possibly something that I didn't make clear through the presentation is that, first of all, there is the apprenticeship route, which Lauren described in detail, but there's also a self-funding option, as we do have individuals, participants of the program, that have chosen to simply fund the program themselves and complete the MSc in that route. So the program is quite flexible, but also if one were considering the apprenticeship route, they would first continue part one, and then the part two, it will be a top-up, an additional fee that they would have to cover, their employer or themselves would have to cover.
So please get in touch. If none of that is clear, you need to have that conversation carrying on. James, I'm going to pass to you, if I may, for the next question, because I'm keen to find out more about the CIM. Can you provide, James, some information on the partnership itself?
Absolutely. I think it's been quite a long journey, hasn't it, Vasilis? I think
Absolutely.
So. Probably about over 2 years, we've been discussing how we can work together on the program, and I think our aim was to build a program that combined the expertise, resources, and the kind of connections of the two organisations. And in essence, the collaboration and the partnership is really around integrating the apprenticeship, the MSc, and CIM's own flagship Level 7 Marketing and Leadership program into one course. So the idea is, how can we take the learning outcomes from these different programs, put them into one program, so the individuals don't need to take any extra assessments or any extra carry out any extra work, but ultimately come out with not just the apprenticeship, but if they continue to get the MSc, but also receive CIM's Level 7 Marketing Leadership Program. In addition to us supporting Cranfield and the learners through our membership, the content that we provide to support our own community, we can also support the learners on this program as well.
And James, how come Cranfield? How come you ended up working with Cranfield?
Well, we work with over 100 universities around the world, and Cranfield's no exception. We've worked with Cranfield for a long time, and we've had relationships with them, not just as an education institute establishment, but also with their faculty members working with us closely over the years as well. I think what was different this time really was that Cranfield, and Vasilis in particular, approached us, and with quite an innovative idea, rather than just adding exemptions on and trying to find a way of learners doing one course and moving on to the next. Cranfield coming to us and said, well, actually, let's truly create an integrated program. Let's really look at the different learning outcomes of what we're trying to achieve and how we're trying to develop the marketing talents of now and in the future, and make it as simple as possible for the learner. So really, it was all from there that the partnership evolved. And I think the next thing really is that, partnerships are really built on the people you're working with. So yes, you've got the solution, you've got the end product that comes out, but you've got to feel like there's an alignment of what the two organizations are doing and an alignment with the people involved. And that's absolutely where we are. So we're over the moon and delighted we've got to this point.
It's great to be working with you, James, so thank you. Stick around, a few more questions coming up. I think for the viewers, there's possibly some confusion around the MSc and the apprenticeships Vasilis. Can you explain the two, what the difference is?
Absolutely. Well, the apprenticeship and the individuals who choose not to be self-funded, or they can be sponsored by the employer to be on the apprenticeship. The apprenticeship covers that first part of the program, where it's actually an incredible way, an amazing way to apply the learning. The apprenticeship requires that you apply the learning, on the job. That's what makes it really valuable. So the MSc, if you want, the MSc continues, after completing your apprenticeship and so on, and you've demonstrated, that learning, and you've proved that you've been a successful apprentice. That's when you move to complete your MSc, as I mentioned, with the additional modules and the thesis in particular.
So tell us more about the benefits to employers and businesses putting people through this course.
Perhaps if Lauren would not mind.
Yeah, Lauren, tell us more about what employers gain from coming with Cranfield.
Yeah, so employers benefit greatly from apprenticeships, so especially using your levy fund. So you're using the levy fund to either upskill your new employees or upskill your current employees. And it's the benefit of them being able to use that knowledge and apply it in the workplace, being able to take the knowledge and skills and behaviours that they've learned during this course and what they're studying and applying it to improve your workplace. And it's also a great way of employee retention, because you're investing in your employees and you're investing in their process and you're investing in their future. So it's also a great benefit to everyone all around, really.
Lauren, thank you. And Vasilis, what roles have previous students gone on to do?
And we have some really amazing stories in terms of the previous cohorts, current cohort, and so on. We first of all do see that students are very proud of the program itself. But we have tangible evidence of people being promoted and participants attributing it to their participation in the MSc. Only this week, I had a discussion with a current participant that clearly attributes their promotion to their participation, and they were ecstatic to be able to now be in meetings with the CEO, because they have acquired the right language, the right strategic thinking, where they're actually sitting on that same table.
The right mindset, the
right
CMO
mindset.
challenge that you
Absolutely.
talked about earlier on. That's good to hear. Lauren, there's another question for you. What involvement do employers have in the application process? Tell us more about that.
Yeah, so said with an apprenticeship, it is important that the employers do support you from the start. So the very first step to apply for an apprenticeship, it comes from the employer. So we ask you fill out what we call an expression of interest to let us know that you are interested and you have some employees that you might like to put forward. And then after you've done the expression of interest, we get you to complete what we call a due diligence, which is just starting the process to check your funding, check your levy funding, and make sure we can get you set up and start the process of connecting you to the digital apprenticeship service if needed. And then we can send you the application link, and then that will kind of progress then on from your employee. But the whole way through, we'll always keep the employees informed, and the employees are very involved in the whole process through the application and also the course itself.
And Lauren, just remind us again, the program is not available to those outside the UK, is that right?
As long as they meet the eligibility criteria. So for apprenticeship funding, you either have to be a UK resident, be in the UK for 3 years or more prior to study, and meet the visa conditions. So while the apprenticeship isn't available, you could also then opt to do the self-funded route if needed, if you're not eligible for the apprenticeship.
Keep those questions coming on those chat channels. We're keen to hear from you. Vasilis, how is the course actually delivered?
Great. Well, we try to make it like other programs at Cranfield. We try to make it as efficient as possible, for participants. We have residential weeks, so the program is typically consists of 7 residential weeks. So they will spend 7 weeks on campus, immersed in the program, and that's good in the sense that they know that at those particular points of time, they'll be away from the workplace, and from early on in the morning, from 8:30 to 6:30, they'll be focused, discussing and being prepared, on their MSc, on their apprenticeship, to do that. And so that's in terms of the structure, if you want, of the program. But most of it is through individual, work that may work on cases, in particular cases that may relate to their existing industry or the industry that interests them and will be useful for their employer. Or also, it's also a blend of group projects, because it's also important to be able to put your ideas together and share some of those ideas, debate, and take it to that next level. So it's primarily, the coursework would be in the form of essays and group projects, group essays that may be presented. Only, I would say, one exception would be the accounting and finance. That would be the only exam, but certainly very valuable in terms of experience, very important, because this is another gap that gap we marketeers have, in the sense of being able to speak numbers, because when we're asking for budget, we're asking a finance person. So we need to be able to speak their language to be able to convince them of how building this brand, building this innovative product will actually have that appropriate return on investment and deliver the appropriate cash flows.
And to think strategically. It sounds like there's lots of opportunity for networking amongst the cohort. Tell us more about the cohort and the demographics.
Absolutely. Our cohorts at Cranfield in general have considerable experience, especially among the apprenticeship students. In the current cohort, I have to say that the average experience is about 19 years, so it's significant. Nonetheless, that's not to scare or worry people that are earlier in their career. So we certainly have participants that we very much appreciate that are in the 3 to 5 year mark, as I mentioned earlier, and are more current possibly on the digital side of things. That is certainly our elements that are covered, on the program itself. So there's a whole blend, but bringing your own stories into the discussion, bringing your own industry, and having that cross-pollination of ideas is what really counts. And that's what a program like this allows you to do. So it's not, you see that some of the problems that you're struggling with, other colleagues from other industries, completely different industries, might be struggling and may have already found a solution. So you may be able to borrow from others' ideas to make your own organization more competitive.
That's interesting. James, can you tell us more about that in terms of who you think the standard student, if there's such a thing as a standard student who comes on this program? Tell us more.
I'm not sure there is a standard student. So I think it's we always try and delve into, actually, is someone coming because they want to learn the specific content, or what's the output? And I think that's the really interesting thing, delving into the backstory. And I think Vasilis will probably know, it's only when you get to really know the individuals well when they're on a program, whether it's around their career, their background, their circumstances, or around confidence. So I think there are some real emotive reasons why someone might come onto a particular program. As far as the level of experience they have, yes, it will vary, but I think there is a kind of minimum level, because I think the key part is feeling that it's a peer-to-peer environment. And I think that's, for me, essential with any program level, that people can relate to the people and learn from. You don't want everyone exactly the same on the program, but learn from others. So I think a bit of variation is good. Different backgrounds, different industries is healthy. As much to learn from others as you learn from the content.
It sounds extraordinarily supportive. It's good to hear. Lauren, I've got a question for you around that support. Lauren, how are apprenticeships supported throughout the program? Can you tell us more about that?
Yeah, sure. As I said, the apprenticeships are very supportive. So from an employer perspective, we expect the apprentice to have a mentor in their workplace to support them while at work. Then at Cranfield, our academic team themselves there's a great team of course leaders, of apprenticeship tutors, and the whole team is there to provide support either through progress reviews, and they're at the end to answer any study questions, and also during the academic work as well.
Lauren, thank you very much. And stay with us. Can you pause partway through a program? Is that possible?
Yes, you can. So in regards to an apprenticeship, while it is fixed for the 15 months of learning and the 5 months of the endpoint assessment, if at any point you need to take a break in learning, and you can pause the program. So as long as the the break is at least 4 weeks or more, we can make that break. And then when you're ready to come back, you could then come back at a point in time where you had left. So you would have to wait until maybe the next course rolls around, or what would work for the academic side of things, and then we could bring you back from that break in learning.
And Lauren, you first, and back to Vasilis. Accommodation and travel, how is that catered for? How is that organised?
So accommodation and travel isn't included in the apprenticeship levy fund, so that is only to fund the course itself. But we do have 2 hotels on site on campus, which you can book into and then attend for when you do attend for those study weeks.
And Vasilis, what you've described is quite a commitment, time commitment, a lot of work. So you'll be here on campus 8 in the morning until 8 at night?
Yeah, but it's a lot of fun at the same time.
You would say that.
Yeah, we certainly enjoy, everybody is enjoying their time on the program itself. But as you mentioned, is also about the networking. And we're proud of our Cranfield alumni in general, and participants that choose to complete the whole program become part of that network. So that's pretty important. Something else, if you don't mind, Toby, that I would like to add is that we think that this program is particularly valuable and particularly important because in marketing, many times we get into the roles of marketing without having, that marketing training. So and that's pretty characteristic. And this is where the CIM has been amazing all these years, training and helping, people to add the pieces of the puzzle. Well, together now, Cranfield and the CIM are helping people to put all the different pieces of the puzzle that may have gained from their own experience. But by synthesizing all those pieces together, you have a more complete story, and that make you more effective. And you're a learner that has been able to, has demonstrated that they can really apply it in their workplace, especially through their apprenticeship.
That's good to hear. James, I heard from Vasilis that kind of accredited prior learning. Tell us more about the accreditation that CIM contribute to this program.
So, as Vasilis has said, as the course is broken up into parts. So, with the apprenticeship part, the kind of first stage, there is one of our modules, which is leading change, which is built into it, and as we mentioned earlier. And on completion of that, not only would the individual, the learner, get the apprenticeship, but they will also get a CIM Level 7 Leading Change Award, so just a particular award for that module. When they continue to do the MSc, then not only will they get the MSc, but they'll get the CIM's official Level 7 qualification. But in addition to that, we are providing professional membership to CIM for all of the delegates for the duration of the program. And in line with the entry criteria, that means we can assess those individuals for graded membership, which means they can also have letters after their name. It could be ACIM for an associate all the way up to a fellow, depending on their prior experience. And while they're actually learning along the journey on the program for over the 2 years, then they can also submit a continuous professional development record to us. We can then log that and assess that. And at the end of the program, not only will the individuals have professional membership grade, their qualifications, but are also eligible, if they've completed that development log, to be a chartered marketer. So from entering the program to leaving the program, that's quite a shift on somebody's CV.
James, thank you very much indeed. That's reason enough, I think, to stick around on this course. Fantastic endorsement there. Vasilis, if I can come to you, those people that are watching this video who are thinking of applying, what are the passing thoughts that you would give to them as to what they do before they join us?
Well, as you heard, the course itself is a journey. It's a journey that has multiple parts. As Lauren explained, it's the apprenticeship component, the part one of the journey, and then completing the MSc. So it takes you through everything that you need to know to be able to make yourself more productive, more effective as a marketing person, as a strategist within the firm, and make your employer so much more competitive. So everybody's invited, for this journey. It's an exciting one. It's one that will benefit the participant quite a bit through the apprenticeship, through the MSc, through the level 7 of the CIM. So enjoy the party.
Wow, it sounds life-changing from what you described. Fantastic. Vasilis, thank you very much indeed. A special thank you to James Sutton, Commercial Director at the CIM, for Vasilis. Thank you very much indeed. And for Lauren Mason for finding out more information with the granular detail. You've seen the contact details to find out more, to carry on the conversation. Please keep those conversations going with Cranfield University. Studio production today was by Robin Hackett. My name is Toby Thompson. Thank you for watching.